Okay, so here we have the parts required for the clutch bell. There's a frame mounting piece with a double bearing in it, a large bearing at the bottom and a small bearing at the top. You've got a pinion, our bell, and our starter shaft and a grub screw for securing it all. So I'm going to put that together and you can see what that looks like. Okay, so there we have our assembled clutch bell. Oops, there we go. And this is literally just held in place by that single grub screw up the top there, which is onto a flat. Again, Loctite that, and also the bell itself screws onto the pinion, and make sure you Loctite the bell to the pinion as well. And that's it. That's your clutch bell, and we can now install that into the frames. The way this goes together is, if I just bring the engine in here so I can just dry fit this, I'm fitting an OS 50 Hyper, and let's take that nut off. You keep the thrust washer on the engine. The way this goes together is that bit goes through the fan like that, and down onto the engine, and then the clutch bell then bolts onto that like so. And obviously there are various nuts and bolts and things that hold it together, and below the clutch bell is the nut that's holding the whole lot together, and obviously there are various screws to hold the fan onto this piece. And this of course has some screws that go through it that secure it onto the shaft of the motor. But I'll now go ahead and put all of that together, and then when that's together, you can then put the fan shroud around it, and it can be installed into the frames. Okay, so here we have the fan ready for installation. As you can see, it's bolted through from the underside, so the button head screws are this side where the fins are. I've also put the M3x8 bolts into the collar there, so it can be secured onto the shaft of the motor. So that's now got to be installed down onto the motor shaft. Okay, and there we have the fan mounted onto the motor. You can see the thrust washer still in there. These screws have been Loctited and tightened up to grip the collar onto the shaft, and we can now install our clutch onto the top there like that, and bolt it into place with a couple of cap head screws. Okay, and there we have the clutch installed. So now it's just a case of putting the fan shroud around the motor. I have the fan shroud here, and effectively that goes on there like that, and you've got these metal inserts which go into the fan shroud assembly, and it just all pushes together like so, and then there are screws to basically hold the fan shroud all together, and then that could be mounted into the frames. Okay, which is the next job. Tank, and effectively all we've really got to do here is put together the clunk and the bung, and install that into the tank itself, and then we're ready to install the tank into the frame. So I'll go ahead and put the tank together. So what I'm going to show you here is a little trick as to how to get the bung into the tank without having a real struggle with it. So basically, make up your clunk line with the flexible piece of clunk here, and then on the other end use the other piece of fuel tubing that Outrage have provided, and just temporarily put it on there and thread the bung on, and then insert the whole thing into the fuel tank like that, and then you can push the bung into place really nice and easily like so, and then you can use your fuel tubing to pull the nipple back through the bung like that, and then this piece of fuel tubing can come off and you can install the nut and washer to hold it in place, and that should save you a whole load of grief trying to get your clunk line into the tank. Okay, and there you have the completed article with the bung installed. So that can now be inserted into the frames.